Senator, thanks very much for your time tonight. It's good to see you.
Likewise, Liz.
So we're getting a lot more information now after sort of the euphoria and the initial response from last night wears off. And I'm wondering, with all this information about exactly how close this compound was to military installations in Pakistan, if you are believing the Pakistanis' insistence that they did not know who was in that compound.
Well, I think the Pakistanis, as usual, have a mixed record. They did help us in this and gave us some important intelligence, but at the same time we didn't trust them enough to let them know that this mission was occurring, even though it was occurring on their soil. And that's like Pakistan itself. It has some people who are allied with us in the West and some people who like the Taliban and even Al-Qaeda. So I am hopeful that our successful mission against bin Laden is going to give those in Pakistan who are on our side the upper hand. And it's a real body blow to those who sort of supported him and his Taliban allies.
Well, but going forward, does it not further complicate an already complicated situation between our country and Pakistan?
Well, it's better to have this than not, and our complicated relationship existed before we got bin Laden. And again, if it can strengthen the people in Pakistan who are on our side and weaken those who are on the other side, which I think it will do, it'll be to the good.
But the administration is now saying, of course, it's impossible that bin Laden was actually able to exist without some kind of support system that was obviously operating right under the nose of Pakistani officials who, of course, say that they are allied with us. I mean, how do you surgically address that issue and still manage to maintain this delicate balance?
Well, I think, we're going to learn more information, but I've talked to the top-level people in our government, and they believe that it's a mixed bag. There were some Pakistanis in the intelligence agency who helped us, and there were some in the intelligence agency who didn't. And hopefully the ones on our side have a stronger hand now. That's all you can really say. We don't have the full information yet.
Senator, you said this morning that you hoped that this would be a turning point in the U.S. war against terror. I guess I wonder what you mean by that. Obviously, there's the buoyancy and the feeling of closure that it provides for so many people in New York, particularly those who were related and lost loved ones in 9/11. But is it not? I've heard bin Laden referred to as sort of like old terrorism, and now there's new terrorism the next page.
Okay.
And isn't it just that they're always one step ahead and there's something new that we don't know around the corner?
No, I think just the opposite, Liz. I think we've made great strides in the war on terror. The fact that we haven't had, praise God, a terrorist incident in the United States is not an accident. Our law enforcement, our intelligence, our military really are very good. They listen in to almost every electronic conversation that the terrorists have. That's why bin Laden had to be, and that's how they caught him, couriers go into his house. This big mansion didn't have any computers, any phones, anything that used anything electronic because we had been successful. It's a turning point for this reason. It's a Saratoga, it's a Gettysburg. Bin Laden was a symbol, but he had promised thousands of particularly young men and women in the Islamic world that a few more terrorist incidents led by him against the United States and our society would collapse. Well, obviously, he's dead and our society's going strong, and I think we're going to find a diminution of people going into terrorism with the fact that we have beaten bin Laden. Is the war over? Absolutely not. And what the experts tell us is, while the groups like Al-Qaeda are greatly weakened because of the good work of our men and women in the intelligence and military agencies, there still is the danger of individuals like the Christmas Day bomber who tried to explode his shoe on a plane, like the Times Square bomber. These people work alone. They're harder to detect because they're in less communication with others, but we're going to have to keep an eye on all of them. They're the danger right now.
Senator, just quickly before we lose you, does this change the paradigm for 2012? Does it take the national security issue off the table for the Republicans entirely?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. On a day like this, I think everybody feels good about the whole country. And look, I'd give certainly President Obama a lot of credit. He asked them to come up with a plan. He was steadfast. He was great. But I'd give George Bush some credit, too. He laid some of the groundwork that caused this. The one thing we know is that the families have some peace. They would always ask me, they'd say, you know, I lost a loved one and bin Laden is still alive. Well, that's not true anymore. And just one final point, Liz. I visited 9/11, the site of 9/11 the day after. There was the smell of death in the air, hundreds of anguished people holding pictures and signs saying, have you seen my daughter Alice? Have you seen my father Jerry? And that day, I vowed, I said, I'm going to wear this flag, and urged Americans to wear a flag. Millions did. Well, I've worn this flag every day since, and I will, God willing, every day the rest of my life, but couldn't be prouder than today to wear that flag.
Senator Schumer, it's great to see you. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Liz. Nice to talk to you.